Welcome to Napa Valley Inside Out. I'm Latife Hayson, and I am delighted to be hosting this podcast, shining a light on one of the most beautiful and coveted lifestyles in the world. If you're interested in developing a property, planting a vegetable garden, making olive oil, fashion, architecture, interior design, county rules and regulations, biking paths, art, getting into the wine business, farming practices, the tax benefits of owning a vineyard, or the ultimate private tours and tastings, and all the fabulous annual cultural events we enjoy here, and so much more, then you won't want to miss this show. Every week I will be interviewing amazing talent, vintners, entrepreneurs, leaders, consultants, event planners, and more. They will share their knowledge, experience, advice, goals, passions, and their best kept secrets. Hello everybody, today we have Todd Zapolski, Managing Member of Zapolski Real Estate with us. Todd has over 35 years of experience in real estate investment and development, and he is the owner and developer of First Street Napa and the Parkway Plaza in Napa, which of course includes the fabulous New Archer Hotel. And he's going to be talking to us more about that today. So welcome. Thank you for being with us.
It's
great to have you here. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Firstly, congratulations on an incredible addition to the city of Napa. Really amazing.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, clearly it's been a long time for us in coming, but it was worth the wait given the response we're getting.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you are a graduate of Duke University, and you've had
Go Blue Devils.
And you've had a long and illustrious career in real estate. So can you give us a summary of your background and your many amazing credentials?
I don't know how amazing they are, but thank you. I've been knocking around real estate a good long time. I started, sort of fumbled or stumbled into it in the early 80s. So every once in a while I look back at the people I've known and said, geez, how I must have been really young because now they're they're clearly getting older. But I started out in Durham, North Carolina, went to Duke, as you said, and was looking at a way just to pay bills. And I think I always had, as a kid, an aptitude and interest in the built environment. My father was an industrial designer, so I had that orientation from being around someone that was always creative and looking at space and design. My mother was a writer, so you had that curiosity, and so I didn't plan to go into this business. I really was looking at a way to keep things going and came into it in the early 80s. So I started a company after being shortly with a couple folks who in the early 80s didn't do so well, not in real estate actually, but longer story, and then joined in with another fellow at an investment group in the early 90s during that sort of time of downturn, and he had created what I call MCI, which you have to be old enough to remember what MCI is, but that, if you remember, it was a friends and family plan, the cell. So we had sort of MCI funds, which is friends and family funds of buying distressed real estate. So he and I were partners for until the late 90s. And I had met a fellow who had come to Durham many years before even I got there, who was introduced to me through a mutual friend, and I was looking at a project in Chapel Hill, North Carolina in the late 80s. And we were looking for someone to come in with us on the deal. And he said, well, this guy we know really loves that property. You should go talk to him. And that was a fellow named Leslie Rudd. And so I met him, and true to form, he didn't want partners. He wanted me to sell the building. I didn't want to sell the building, but we became sort of connected, and over the next subsequent years became friends. And so now we jump up to late 90s. The partnership I had, the primary person felt the market was calming down. He wasn't sure if he wanted to sell the portfolio. And Leslie said, well, why don't we start a company? So in 1998, early 99, we created Zapolsky Rudd. because he had come out here in the mid 90s and bought then Girard Winery, I'd come out as a friend. And then when we started the real estate investment company, he said, you really need to come out and do some things and look at California. And if you know Les, who unfortunately passed last week, he had that twinkle in his eye, and when he looked at you, said, you listened, because he usually had some idea that you should pay attention to. So through that, I wound up coming out here, knocking around and understanding what was going on in the Bay Area, San Francisco and up here in Napa. And then in early '99, we found a property over the Napa Gateway Airport that was looking to be sold by a group that had a use for it. So they had a design, but they weren't going to build. So we were able to buy that and then take the design and find an orthotics company that wanted to have the space. So we developed that, and that gave me some resources and reasons to go back and forth to North Carolina. And then parlayed that into opening an office here, and we wound up with a portfolio larger in the Bay Area than we even had on the East Coast. So long, short story is, we created the company in early '99, and then in '07, when again we were in an economic dip and problems, the feeling was, maybe the market for real estate investment had done its course. But I said to Leslie, I'm younger, I have more energy to keep going. I think I want to keep going and do it. So we broke up the portfolio with he maintaining most of the income-producing properties that didn't need a lot of attention. I took the things that were more in the works, and so I created Zapolsky Real Estate, creative name. But given we had Zapolsky Rudd, it was a natural way to move that forward. Yeah. So did that, and then was trying to make a decision whether being in Napa or California and the East Coast made sense. But I had held a property over on Silverado Trail that was to be a multifamily, and that became the St. Antoine Apartments that we developed, St. Antoine built, and then the residential subdivision. Right. So that gave me a reason to be connected and stay involved with Napa, and then decided, yes, we want to keep the bicoastal business. Long story.
And I think that partnership you had over $500 million in assets, right? Portfolio.
We built it up, yeah. We had a successful run for almost 10 years. I got involved in the Bay Area at a pretty ideal time because I was able to learn, and through some of Leslie's contacts as well as ones I could create, we wound up placing some bets in San Francisco during that downturn. And then we developed, obviously, bought the old tannery here in Napa, and we did what is Fresh and Easy that I think is now becoming Planet Fitness. A lot of different deals here, as well as San Francisco, Oakland. And then when the market came back up, we were able to get out of some of those things, including Napa Junction, which we were the primary partner with Lake Street Ventures, who were on the ground, who did all the great job of developing it, but we were the ones that sort of backed that project. So yeah, we had a good run.
Wow, that's amazing. And what a loss, really. What a great guy, and a loss just like a week ago. Yeah.
Well, for Napa particularly, and for the country, everything I always say again, he had that way of pulling out your inner self and push you to be more creative and take chances. And I remember being with him in an airplane. We were flying together, and we're talking different things about life and the challenges we all have. And he made a very simple point, which is what he could do so well. I always thought he's from the Midwest, and he thought black and white. I grew up on the East Coast, so I thought color. It was a great combination. But he said, if you want to be in the game, you got to put yourself on the field, which is just a simple thought. But many people talk, but they don't get themselves in position. They don't do it. And I think that's something he pushed. Everyone he got involved with to go do it.
just
make
do
the
it.
effort.
Yeah. So you bought a property on the corner of Silverado Trail and First Street. Mm-hmm. What year was that?
You're going to push me to remember all these things.
After COVID,
but the old Valergas. That became
the old
JV
Valergas.
Liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought that. It would have been, going back time, probably 2008.
Yeah. 2008. And at that time, the Ritz-Carlton was already thinking about building a hotel across the road, right?
That had pretty much died by then because we were now in the downturn.
Right.
And I think that actual project was on the rocks. So we were looking at it more as a key corner, and we knew the folks involved were looking to sell. What's more, we put together the parcel next door. So I was looking at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we had a little bit of lease back from the Valergas folks, and had a great relationship with them. But we knew that they were looking to probably close, and I saw it as a key corner with the potential of a redevelopment. And so it was added value was to make the site larger, and then the folks that bought the property across the street, which had been the Ritz, got to know them, and they needed some more land to do with parking, and so we wound up selling it to them.
Yeah. So what was your original vision for First Street Napa?
Yeah, I had looked at it in the early 2000s when the Jim Apple and his partners owned the property, and it was for sale, and that was when I was partnering with Leslie Rudd, and I just couldn't get there on the value. I mean, when I first came to Napa in the early 90s through a friend who was living in San Francisco, we did the typical just zip up here and spend the day and zip back. Then when I came out to meet and hang out with Leslie, and after he came out, 96, I stayed at the Embassy Suites. And so, well, I'm here, I'll go walking down to Napa and see Napa, thinking this is going to be, I walked downtown and went,
Where is everything?
This is what I thought. And you remember, this valley was it was up valley, and obviously things hadn't drifted down here because of the flooding and all the other issues. But the thing that hit me then is not being that familiar. Napa has the name Napa.
Right.
So most people outside of those right here don't have a stigma about what this can or can't be.
Right.
But it had to be timing. When was the marketplace going to be able to support it? Mm-hmm. And those who have been here or have come, it clearly St. Helena took off. Yountville, which people who've lived here a long time remember Yountville to be, not what it is today.
And same with St. Helena. I mean, they all.
So it went through different stages as people became, into the lifestyle and appreciating what's here, and the investment, particularly in hospitality, and the reputation becoming now. If you go to China, they know what Napa is.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's world famous.
Yeah.
World
as well
famous.
As we've broadened our marketplace in the way of demographics, socioeconomics. My relatives from around the country, whatever their economic basis, all enjoy wine.
Yes.
And that wasn't true 10 years ago.
And the lifestyle that we have here, which is just incredibly amazing.
Well, it's a combination. I think there's a California spirit, which is what I've always enjoyed. Is there's as we said, just get up and do it. We clearly have the weather that allows you to be outdoors and do things. Our food is super.
Incredible.
It's the wine's important, but it's not as dominant as we have so many other things to offer people in the area.
Yeah.
And that tracks.
How did you go about assembling all of those parcels to get a critical mass for a hotel, retail, office, and shopping?
Well, as the story continues, is that I passed on it in the early 2000s. Then it came up again after the Altamiers and others had bought the Napa Town Center in about 2006, sort of at the peak of that last cycle. And I still didn't believe it was time. In my mind. And then after the recession, as we were sort of coming out, the changes in, as the things we talked about earlier, the interest in wine as a part of your life and the lifestyle and the attention and the movement, I thought, toward Napa proper. The flood control, key. Copia, even though it stumbled, it created a there. We had these elements that I felt, okay, now it's worth looking at. So there was a property that people may remember had the Seha tasting, and you had Ben & Jerry's and Playful Garden. There was a rug store that was called the Dunn Building. Not the Ben & Jerry's, but the main building was called the Dunn Building. About 10,000 square feet. And I knew some people that were leasing that, and said, I'd be interested, would they ever be willing to sell? And the word was the owner would never sell. It was an older person whose father bought it, and she wanted to give it to her grandkids. And it was really the absolute hole in the donut, given that the Napa Town Center surrounded it. And I thought, if I don't get that, I can't even think about it.
Right.
That is such a key piece. I don't know how anyone thought they were going to develop and have that piece in the middle. So because of the downturn, the owner actually said, I'm tired of tenants not paying, and maybe I'm better off, despite the heritage.
Yeah.
Sell it and let me put it into a Walgreens in my neighborhood. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So we were right time, right place, and I was able to get that. And once we had that, I said, okay, now we can talk to the Napa Town Center people who I knew would probably be willing to do something. Maybe the downturn would make that a little more reasonable. And we had great conversations with George Altamiro Jr., who was super, and we said, okay, here's what we want to try to do. And we were able to come to an understanding how we could buy it and put that together with the Dunn Building. At the time, we didn't have ambition to control what we control now.
Which is like 380,000 square feet?
Yeah, we have 3 blocks.
Three complete blocks.
3 blocks, almost, give or take. We have 3 blocks. More importantly, we closed in the Napa Town Center acquisition May 2nd, 2012. May 1st, 2012, the city approved its new specific plan for downtown, which those that have anything to do with real estate, which you do, know it's not an easy place to do business in California.
No.
And especially with the appropriate but sometimes challenging regulations. I didn't want to take on this type of project, which we knew was pioneering, we knew would be challenging, and have to fight for entitlement and fight the battles of change.
Right.
So the city had a 3-year blue ribbon panel to come up with this new specific plan. So that was a big impetus for us to do what we're doing. Is they proved that. Once that was approved, we stepped in and did what the community wanted. We're not fighting it. We're trying to do exactly what the community voted and said, this is our specific plan. We want this kind of density, this kind of energy in this part of our downtown. So that plan is what we stepped into, and we're trying to now execute fully. The Downtown 1 district goes from, actually including, I think, the Ondas, but it goes to Main Street to the Ondas. And we were clearly part of it at the Napa Town Center in the former Dunn Building, and then the Merrills and the old bank building. Included then up the street was Parkway Plaza, which includes Kohl's and that site, and the Gordon Building.
That was another 77,000 square feet.
Right, up there.
Right.
So 83,000, I think is total. Yeah. So we didn't, been nice to control or be involved with almost all of it. It makes what we really were after was creating enough of energy and size to get what we want done. You can't do it in small pieces because it's not enough to track the others you need to make it all work. Right. So it was important to us to create enough mass, which we thought with the town center, the other pieces we were put together, we could get there. The McCullough's was a significant piece of Napa Town Center. They had a long-term lease, which they had control, so we understood that. We worked well with them. Then the earthquake came. Those changes allow us to repurpose that building. So it's been a fortunate process that's allowed us now to basically control or manage almost all of Downtown 1. And that's where the future is going to be.
So how many parcels did you acquire to achieve that?
I got to count them all up.
The acquisitions.
Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah. And over what period of time was that?
2012 was the first. Well, actually, I'm sorry. 2011 we bought the Dunn building, November 11.
Yeah.
So from 11, and I think we closed on Parkway would have been the last one, 2015. So, yeah. It's
extraordinary. I mean, you really are at the pinnacle of your career, wouldn't you say? I mean, would this be your biggest and most?
It's certainly the most complicated.
Complicated for sure.
I don't know if I want to repeat this one this way again because we've dealt with earthquakes.
I was going to say you've dealt with it all.
Fires.
Yeah.
And then we've had this morphing of the retail world. We knew it was changing. I mean, it was hard not to pay attention since the internet first came on. There's always been a question: is when is the internet going to take over retail?
Yeah.
But there's a hand-in-hand process. But I don't think we thought it would go like it's done in the last couple of years, where very solid retail concepts are now fumbling and falling apart because of just not being able to keep up with the change in consumers and approach.
Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, how do you, the best of us, so you can get, boom, it's here in your.
Oh, yeah.
What makes you get out of your seat or get out of your house or whatever and go to a store? It has to be experience. It has to be something unique. Mm-hmm. Boy, that's tough. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what stores do you have there?
Currently, I think we've got about 15 that are at some point of opened or opening. We have an opportunity for a total of 45, depending on size. Mm-hmm. And that's just, again, the what we call the Napa Center portion. So we have 142,000 square feet, 110 of retail, about 30-ish on office, plus the hotel. And so within the retail portion, we have up to 45 different tenants. So currently we have open people like Lush, which has been a great success. Their opening day, they had lines out the door. And that's a great cosmetics and bath business that is all about using organic material. I think they're one of the first that banned any animal use of products. Really great international operator. Napa Jeweler they and ACOs are the only survivors who hung with us and have been great. But we moved Napa Jeweler over to their new location, which is right next to ACOs. Beautiful store. He's really done a great job. He brought in glass and really fun. ACO, as I said, has been there since the beginning. We have Compline, which is spelled like Compline, but it's spelled Compline.
I was there.
Compline.
Yeah.
Great spot. Food, wine, bottle shop, wine education. Mm-hmm. And you've seen that glass open up, and it's indoor, outdoor.
Fabulous.
2 young guys from here who are doing a great job. Tommy Bahama's opened. State and First, which is a boutique.
Went there.
I hope so.
Yes,
many
been
times.
there.
They've got clothing for men and women and jewelry. Mecox, which is interior design and furnishings. It's great reputation throughout the country. Southampton, Long Island, Dallas, L.A., Houston. We've got them here in Napa. I want to leave it at. We got Overland, which is up in Yountville. They're again have stores all over the region. Sheepskin and outdoor clothing. We have Brown, there's the tasting room on the second floor of the Beckstoffer building. I know I'm forgetting people.
And then, and then you've got
coming,
and you've got office space.
Office space. We have Pacific Union, the real estate group, has moved and put their headquarters there. Silicon Valley Bank will be opening there.
Oh, fantastic.
Not as a go make a deposit, but there'll be
office.
Their wine practice and some other things. Mm-hmm. And then John Anthony Trichard is moving all his corporate offices, not a tasting room, but his offices will be there.
Fantastic.
So,
really a great lineup.
Yeah.
And what about the rooftop bar? I love it.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness. My girlfriend and I went down recently, and she's got to get out of St. Helena more often.
Yeah.
Look how amazing this is.
Well, the fun thing is, I was there with some guests the other night, and ran to someone's a local business person. They were there with their significant other and their dog, because it's dog friendly. And they brought the dog up on the roof.
Oh.
And they were just hanging out. And he said, "This is great." And I saw him a day later. And he made a remark that what was particularly surprising to him is when he looked around at the crowd, he said, "I recognized most or a lot of them as being people he knew from the community." He said, "I saw these lawyers, an accountant, but it has become a place that's not just a hotel.
Yeah.
It is a community gathering place.
Yeah.
The lobby
I've
is
been
like
there
a living
many
room.
times. Yep.
People putting their laptops up. They're having friends meeting. They're grabbing a happy hour drink. So I'm really proud of what LodgeWorks has done, and that is it's really said, hey, we're part of this community. We spent a lot of time and resources to make sure the design was reflective of what Napa feels like and is. It is not a cookie cutter goes throughout the country.
No.
That was designed for here. And they wanted the experience to be for here. Yeah. And that rooftop, when you get up there and see the 360 view.
Incredible.
There's nowhere else in the valley you can do that. You can get up to the hills and look, but you don't get that complete all the way up to the top of the valley. In a really good day, you can see the Golden Gate. But you see Mount Tam, no problem.
You know, it's really interesting because I have noticed in the last 12 months that a lot of the really high-end luxury money in real estate is south of St. Helena. It's in Napa. Some of the biggest sales we've had. I mean, the luxury market is very strong right now, and Napa is attracting it. Now they have developers working down there, building beautiful spec homes, and they're walking out the door for 8, 9, 10, 14, 17 million. It's incredible. And
yeah, I mean, the logic is, I mean, if you were the person that needs to get in and out of the city, or you're going to the airport or whatever, you know, I've lived in St. Helena and I love St. Helena, but that last half hour, 45 minutes,
it's terrible now. Yeah.
It's logic, but you know, we want obviously the whole area to do great. I mean, we're not trying to take from anybody else, but we do think the energy, the pulse, the excitement is in downtown Napa.
It absolutely is. I just listed a house down at the Carnaros Resort Inn, and I go down to that hotel as well as to your hotel, and the youth and the vibe and the excitement, it's just completely different. But I was talking to Andy Beckstoffer about this the other day, and Andy was saying...
Speaking of someone youthful.
Speaking of somebody youthful, for sure, he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He was saying it's wonderful what you've done down here, because so many people will stop here now, and then rather than they all used to come up valley and get stuck in the traffic, and they don't have a great experience with doing that anymore because of the traffic. So he feels that somehow it'll be worked out where people stop and stay here. Not everybody, of course, but a lot more people will stop and stay here now, and then make some trips up there and somehow figure it out.
And the wine train's helping that. They're trying to figure out ways to do it.
It's fantastic.
I think it's a win-win, as well as looking at the employment base, that you're not having to commute them all up and down. I hope, again, everyone survives. But as this area grows and draws more people, it's good that they have a place to come here, which is less congested. We have the hotel rooms. We have the nightlife. And as I said earlier, the Napa draw demographically has gone younger.
Yes, 100%.
You know, what I often have said now is that when I came to Napa, I was young, Napa was old. Now I'm old, Napa's young.
It's true.
Oh, well.
I mean, it's so funny,
but, you know, you can see it with Bottle Rock. Bottle Rock was a great help, even its first year, to draw people here to Napa and say, hey, I don't have to be a wine geek. I don't need to be 60 plus to enjoy it and go up and have this very civil, very nice experience. I want more action. And they realize, hey, I'll come back. There's stuff for me. So we've seen an uptick in, you know, whatever you call a younger person who has resources coming to Napa because of Bottle Rock and seeing, oh, this place can be fun.
Oh, no, it's really fantastic. We've just got a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you, are you tracking the tourism, the increase in tourism? Because what I've seen is so many hotels are being built here, but people are coming. It's like if you build them, they will come.
But
and the numbers are up.
Not that many hotels are being built. I mean, a lot of hotels being talked about, but look at how many really are coming on the ground. For our market, for our size, so far, we don't really have that many. We are terribly underserved currently. You know, you have a lot. I said a lot
on
of
the
approved,
books.
a
Yes,
lot of.
yeah.
But which ones are coming out of the ground? We just bought a property, a Whole Foods shopping center in Asheville, North Carolina. And Asheville population is probably in our range, a little less. They must have in the downtown area, I'm underestimating, 8 new hotels in the last 5 years. 8. And they're still bumping and going. I think for Napa, we're actually underserved, and we need to get some of these things, frankly, out of the ground.
Would you think a lot of them are going to move forward?
It's tough. When you look at the cost of construction, I think one thing also, unless you're in the hotel business, funding is tough. I mean, they're not easy to get funded.
Funding. Yeah.
So as we have a market,
Yeah.
but you've got to make that work economically, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Well, I'm happy to say that since the fires, restaurants are packed.
Mm-hmm.
I come down to Napa, all the hotels are packed, there's so much vibe. I mean, I got up to Calistoga, I was like, it's fantastic, people are supporting us.
Yeah, you saw the cover story that just came out at Wine Spectator about Sonoma and after fires.
Yeah.
Sonoma certainly took the hit harder than we did, and it's no fun. I've been out of my house because of the fires since October 8th, so we felt it directly. It didn't burn down, but we were affected. No fun. But I think it's a misconception that certainly Napa has any issues for a visitor.
Oh, absolutely none. Absolutely none. That was
in some ways,
all the press.
I get it, one aspect, but we don't need to talk about it anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to realize that we are open for business, and
very much
we're back
so.
to work, and we're back to living our lives, and hopeful we're off some natural disasters for a while. We're done with that. But and anyone who's still dealing with it, I have a personal connection to the issues of fire.
Yeah, I'm actually interviewing somebody today. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was wonderful to have you here. Really.
Keep doing this. Great that you're doing this to help people understand what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you next week.